Campers, let's move on to our next camp. It looks like Rhonda is with us. I am very pleased to turn our attention now to Ronda Vrell. Our adventure is going to continue with her as we take a look at how we're going to go on a new path to getting new campers. Rhonda comes to us all the way from North Carolina. So Rhonda, thanks for joining us this morning, and I will turn it over to you.
Hi, y'all. I'm actually in Virginia, just to make life a little difficult, but I do live in North Carolina. So we're going to talk about making new friends, because Lisa, you just talked about keeping old friends, and what clicked in my mind when this topic came up was make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other is gold. And by the way, that's not easy not to sing. So we're going to talk about making new friends. I'm going to invite all of you to feel free to share things in the chat with each other. And then I'm hoping Lisa will monitor the chat for me in case there are any questions that come up. And we can unmute you, or you can unmute yourself and ask the questions. You notice I've tried to put on my camping gear. I've got my ponytail. I've got my flannel shirt. So here we go. We're going to talk about making new friends. And that was so easy to say until my clicker didn't work. We're going to start with s'mores. Lisa might be all about stew, but let me tell you, you say camping and I think s'mores. So we're going to talk about the very first approach for bringing in new members. And it's important for you to understand the mechanics and then talk about how you can affect that with all the clubs in your district and your divisions. So first of all, s'more approach, the graham crackers are our membership committees. We have a lot of clubs that don't even have a membership chair, let alone a membership committee. And we need that strong foundation because they are the people whose job it is to keep membership focused and membership in front of everybody's eyes. So think about that membership committee. Do you at a division level have a membership committee? I know someone talked about on this call, you do as a district level. So it's extraordinarily important that we all have a membership committee going. Raise your hand if you can hear me. All right, otherwise I feel like I'm talking to nobody. In fact, I'm going to interrupt this presentation for something I like to start with. If we were all in person, this is what I would do. So I'm going to ask everyone to take their right hand, put it on their left shoulder. Don't worry, this isn't a test to see if you know left from right. Then take your other hand, put it around your waist, and give yourself a big hug. Because if we were all in person, I'd be giving all of you a hug. So thank you for the hug. I appreciate that. We're back to some more approach. So our membership committees, we need that strong foundation. Next, we have members. How many people, I like the smiley face, Sue. How many people here have clubs that have members in it? Hey, that's great. If you have clubs without members, we have a whole nother problem. So what we need to do is get our members active and involved. So we have the membership committee talking about members, but our members need to be involved in the process. And most of our members know people who aren't Kiwanians. So I'm going to ask you to raise your hand again. Raise your hand if you know somebody who's at least 18 years of age and older who isn't a Kiwanian. Fantastic. We have members who know people who aren't members yet. It's a great place to start. So we want our members to help identify potential members. If you're anything like me, and I hope none of you are, but we can certainly invite people I don't know to join Kiwanis. It's much harder to invite people I do know because I tend to feel like they might do it just for me, and I don't want to feel like I pressure them. A lot of people feel that way, but let's call and get together names of people who might be potential members. So who are some potential members? We all raised our hands if we knew somebody who wasn't currently a Kiwanian. So think about your friends. Can you list 1, 2, or even 3 people who are friends of yours who aren't Kiwanians? What about our coworkers? Now, hopefully these are coworkers you like, because you probably don't want to invite the coworkers you don't like into your Kiwanis club. But you can always invite them to Ron's club. He'd be happy to take those people you don't like. So putting down the names of potential coworkers is great. A roster analysis. Lisa talked about a lot of the tools available online with Kiwanis. Well, we have roster analysis. And that means we look at our club and say, who isn't in our club? Do we have a lawyer in our club? Some of you might say, no, I'm glad we don't, because lawyers always get the bad jokes. But do you have a lawyer in your club? Do you have an accountant? Is there a teacher? Is there a minister in your club? So look through all the different job categories and figure out, do you have those people in your club? If not, who in the community works in those jobs? Who are the dentists? Do you have a dentist in your club? A lot of clubs don't have dentists. So maybe you could find a good dentist, a dental hygienist. Then look at skills analysis. Your club needs lots of skills. And I can tell you, one skill a lot of our clubs really need is somebody who's good with technology and social media. Raise your hand if you would like to have someone in your club who's good with technology or social media. Absolutely. So you can look down the list and find somebody. And the reason skills analysis is different than a roster analysis is you may have somebody who works as an accountant, but loves to do things online or great at marketing. So we can't pigeonhole people. That's the reason we have to ask, what are people interested in? So look at people's skill sets in addition to their job categories and bring them in. I'm a big fan. My Kiwanis Club does a yard sale. And every year we're looking for a place to store the stuff that we're going to sell as we're collecting it. Probably be a smart idea if we brought somebody into our club who owns storage units or who owns a trucking company with extra trailers. So even look at some skills or some needs that your service project has and bring them in. You do a lot of things with the local Hy-Vee. Is the Hy-Vee manager a member of your club? They can add certain things to your clubs. And then back to the membership committee. So we have a committee who's talking about membership, who's working on membership. They connect their members and say, hey, you guys, we all know people in our community who aren't members. Who are they? And then we get to hand that list off to the membership committee, and they can do the formal invite. There's some people from our club who think you'd be a great member. We would like to invite you. This is an old tool. It's a great tool, but a lot of our clubs have forgotten this tool. And I want you to think broadly. So our clubs can do this, but so can your division. What would happen at your division council meeting if you had everyone who showed up and thought about people they knew in their division? We always know people who live in a different town than we do or down the road. Or what if you do this as a district where everybody brainstorms somebody? I, for example, used to live in Iowa City. I knew quite a few people from Pocahontas, Sioux Falls, Spencer. I could have given names to people back in those days to people who didn't live anywhere around me. So we know a lot of people who don't live in our backyard, and you as a district can do this, not only for club opening, which Josh will talk about next, but even in individual clubs. Who do you know who would make a good Kiwanian, who really loves to give back to their community, who needs a way to connect? All sorts of reasons to join Kiwanis. And we always keep in mind those 206 kids. All right, so maybe we have an ongoing plan where people are writing down names and our membership committee is out there recruiting them. But sometimes we want an adventure. Jane just went on a wonderful adventure down a whitewater rafting ride, which sounds fabulous. I'm a little disappointed she didn't invite the rest of us, but we'll get over that. So sometimes we want an adventure. So maybe there's a special event. Lisa did bring up the hosting a membership event. That would be a special event membership. So one great special event can be a special meeting. I want to tell you something. We have clubs out there that are having special events virtually. They are doing things online to bring members in the club. They're not waiting till they can get out there, hug each other in person, and shake hands. They're having online events. A couple of examples is you could do a s'more making event, or a wine tasting, or a root beer tasting. How does that work? You invite people to a meeting like Zoom. You make sure that everybody either knows what ingredients they need to bring, or you send things out. For example, if it's a s'more event, you probably want everyone to buy their own ingredients. Because I Googled s'mores earlier and discovered that some people put Reese's peanut butter cups. Some people use Chips Ahoy cookies. They aren't always graham crackers, Hershey's chocolate, and marshmallows. Some people really go out on a limb, and you could have a who developed the best s'more. If it's a wine tasting, you're going to want, or a root beer tasting, the wine or the root beer shipped to people's houses. And then you have a connoisseur talking through it online. But it brings a social event, a chance to talk to people, and you can do it from the safety of your own home. Other special events is, and I'm going to ask this question, how many of you or who has gone to a virtual service project? Unmute yourself and share. Have you been to a virtual service project?
Yes.
I have not, but this I'm a Kiwanis advisor for a Key Club, and our Key Club has done a lot of virtual events, and they're experiencing joy in giving any way they can during this pandemic.
Fantastic. Linda was going to tell us also about her special service project she went to.
I actually went to a virtual golf last summer, and that was fun and interesting. And we had people that gave us instructions on golf and golf equipment and how to buy golf supplies that you would need. I'm not a golfer, so I'm struggling a little bit here. But the point of the matter is that we did it virtually, and we raised a lot of money.
Fantastic. Now, the reason I wanted to ask some of those questions is those are special events you can invite potential members to. Is the best way to really showcase who you are as Kiwanians is to show them what to do, what we do. So that means inviting them to a fundraiser, inviting them to a service project, inviting them when you're having an event with your local Key Club or K-Kids. We really want to showcase who we are. Another great idea is anybody here conducted a town hall meeting or a town hall discussion? And no, I'm not talking politics. That's a way for a couple of years at least. For example, you may have a guest speaker who knows a lot about children and maybe the effects of the pandemic have on children 1 to 3. They can come and speak to your Kiwanis Club, and then you can have a meeting where you're inviting some of the key leaders in your community, along with your members and other potential members, to discuss how your Kiwanis Club can create new projects to help in that area. So right now, particularly with the virtual world, you can get people from all over the world who will come and speak to your club on a specific topic. And then you can have breakout sessions talking about how your club can address those issues in your own community. Again, a special event, you can do this on a division level or even a district level. These are great ways of showing Kiwanians in action because people want to get involved with us because we are a group of people who are in action and we do things. Also, if you're going to have a special event, be prepared. And when I say that, rehearse thing and make sure the technology's on board. Something can really ruin a special event if you haven't figured out who's doing what and how the technology works. But also prepare all your members. How should they be engaging people? there's a whole chat function. And if you want to do some socialization, you don't want people not to use that chat function. You want some members who might be out there asking other people questions, starting conversations, cheering on great ideas. So be prepared. Make sure your members are prepared to answer questions like, why should I pay to join Kiwanis? Why should I pay to serve? My favorite answer to that is because we pay to serve, 100% of what we make and earn in our community gets to go back to the community. We don't take anything off the top to pay for anything anyone else does. We get to give 100% of our money back to those kiddos, and that is an amazing opportunity. So that's why you pay, is so that more money goes to your kids. And of course, your special adventure should always showcase your Kiwanis Club to its highest degree. So make sure it's a fun event. Send people invitations and updates as it's coming up. That builds excitement. For example, you don't just see a blockbuster movie coming out. You see all sorts of trailers come in advance. They let you know it's going to happen. So make sure you're going to have a special event. Everybody knows it's coming up. Build the excitement. And I will tell you, one great way to build excitement is to get everybody involved. If you have a role to play, I learned that in high school with prom and homecoming. If you have a role to play in kicking it off, you're more excited in it happening. So make sure everyone in your club has some part to play, and then really showcase your club. Any questions so far or comments? Am I talking too fast, or are we doing okay?
Rhonda,
Yes.
I was just going to share that our club, when you say special event, our club has been holding Zoom socials, and we're going to have one this Monday. We're playing bingo. And so we had to RSVP, and then in the mail came our bingo cards. And so not sure how, I'm not on that committee, so I'm not sure how that's going to work, but we're doing that Monday. And one of our members is having her first baby. And so we're having a virtual baby shower on March 24th. And so we're going to take a beverage choice, either wine or a soft drink, and a cupcake and mints to each person that's going to be on the baby shower that night. So we're trying to stay connected this way too.
That is fantastic. I was a little concerned when you talked about having a baby. I thought, oh, you're not all going to be in the room with it, but a shower's okay.
Absolutely not. No, everything virtually.
You can do a lot of things virtually. I just wasn't sure. Shower's
Exactly.
Great. Okay. Anybody else have any ideas or suggestions? Okay.
I know
merit badges. I'm sorry, did I interrupt someone?
I was just going to say real quick, the Key Clubs have done a lot of the virtual game playing. There's trivia challenges and stuff that they can hook into that are quite fun. A lot of times they're a great icebreaker to get people involved. And at the very least, they leave you with a smile on your face. So.
And I'll tell you, Randy, it is a really smart idea. If you don't know what to do or have an exciting event, ask your Key Clubbers, your Circle K, builders, K-Kids, ask them to host it. Ask them to be in charge, because that just adds a level of energy to every event. So great. Now we're going to talk about merit badges. Because what's camping without merit badges? So sometimes, so far what we've talked about are team activities. And those are my favorite activities. You know, the reason we're in Kiwanis Clubs is because we want to do things together. And that's fantastic. But sometimes we need to take a leadership role. Like Jane talked way back and earlier on about, I believe his name was Matthew, who picked that kid up, and just sometimes we have to take charge, show the way so that everybody's safe and moving forward. So first, of course, is the personal ask. That's where you go out and you share something about Kiwanis. I know Lisa mentioned the Kiwanis moment. That is sharing something personal and something special about what you have seen and experienced in Kiwanis. And one of the reasons we focus on the personal ask is if you get somebody to almost be end of that moment that you had to that feeling that you get when you see the difference you've made in somebody's life. That's really what we want. What we've had problems in the past, and it's only because it's easy to do, is we have Kiwanians do things like describing, oh, great, come to our Kiwanis Club. We have incredible food. We have funny meetings. Or they'll give you a whole list of all the things you do in your Kiwanis Club. And let me tell you, when you get a list of all the things our Kiwanians do, it's like asking me to camp and telling me we have to set up our own tents. Because my first thought is that is way too much work. So a lot of Kiwanians make the mistake of listing every service project we do. What you need to do is talk about the one you're most passionate about. Share why it really matters. Share about the meaning. And then ask them if they want to see that, if they want to be part of it. You don't even have to say, do you want to join? Just, would you like to get involved with that? Let me invite you to the next time we present the Terrific Kid or Bug Awards or whatever that service project may be. So personal ask. Also, you as a district person, district leader, besides just doing the personal ask, you can help show other people how to do the personal ask. We had a club in Aurora, right outside of Chicago. They still are there. And what they did when they wanted to double their size, they taught and practiced with every member at the beginning of every meeting on how to ask someone to join. Everybody had a buddy, and everybody practiced how to ask someone to join, because it's in making it common, making it comfortable, that allows our members to ask. Because if you've never done it before and someone says, hey, ask this person to join, you're like, I remember when I first started with Kiwanis, I was always the person, you're being trained, you're watching everybody do it, and all of a sudden somebody said, hey, Rhonda's the expert, she'll tell you what to do. And I just blank. And all that came out of my mouth is, Kiwanis is about kids. Luckily for me, that's all she needed to hear. But it is tough the first time, so we do need to practice. Modeling behavior, that means you guys going out and bringing someone new, or bringing a guest to a club meeting. When you go to a club meeting, bring somebody along. Introduce them to that Kiwanis Club and show other people that you're interested in their membership. And of course, recognition. Anybody here bring a new member in this year? Okay, I only get to see some of your faces, but I did see Randy put his hand up. Did anybody recognize you for that?
Yes, she did. She's my new member, my wife.
Fantastic. But did your club, did your district, did your division?
Yeah, we grew as a division this year. At least we held our ground, and it's interesting to invite people. I've invited a number of folks to join us on our Zoom sessions and also in person prior to that. And sometimes you just have to wait for the idea to stick. Don't give up on that person. Ask them again in another 6 months. Ask them again. I'm using what I want to say, some tricks that I've learned from older members of the club that say, don't get disappointed if people say no. That means that they're just not ready yet. But continue to do the ask, and eventually, just like planting seeds in the ground, you never know when one will start, and good things will happen for that person and for you too.
Absolutely, Randy. In fact, I was in Toastmasters before I got a job with Kiwanis, and there was one gentleman I worked with, and every week before a meeting, I invited him to come. Every week, he was too busy, not today. Finally, we're having a special guest day. He said, if I go to this, will you stop asking me? And I said, I promise. Well, he ended up being a club president down the road. So you're right. It's just the timing, or sometimes you have to wear them down, Randy. It's whatever works. So arts and crafts time. Sometimes you just need to think outside the box. So nominating committees, a great resource that we as Kiwanians don't utilize to the fullest is our nominating committee. That committee needs to be working all year round because they don't need to say, oh, look, we need to get a new club president and have a whole bunch of people sitting in a circle saying, well, whose turn is it this time? Instead, we need them looking at potential new members and new members. Who do we want to groom? Who do we want to be our club president in the next 5 years, 3 years even? And start to mentor them, get them in the club, mentor them, and give them the opportunity. So your nominating committee needs to be working year-round with your membership committee, looking at who are those emerging leaders in our community. So how do we get them into our club so that they can be our future leaders too? Social media, wow. Social media is fantastic. There is a Kiwanis Club right now in formation in Mississippi that has 15 paid members. 99% of them, so I guess all but one, they got through Facebook. What they did was they advertised a social event. They put in some marketing money. I think they put in less than $100, and they got 14 people from the community through Facebook. We really need to, and a lot of our clubs don't have somebody. So maybe if you can find someone in your division or a Circle K-er or a Key Clubber who'd be happy. I realize they're not on Facebook all that much, but a lot of our key demographics in Kiwanis are on Facebook. So find people who can help. We have Steve Hatt at Kiwanis International. We have some funds that we can help you with Facebook advertising if you're planning a big event. So if your division is doing something big or your club is doing something big, there is some money that Kiwanis can put behind in helping you create a Facebook or social media presence to bring people to your club. And then competition, nothing wrong with pitting one club against another or one division against another. We can always move forward in terms of competition to get people excited, because how many people are excited about the NCAA tournament this year? Nobody else? Really? We all know the Hawkeyes are going to do great. But get people excited, and competition sometimes really excites people. Do we have any questions right now, Lisa?
No, we've just got a share from Tracy about our district key club has done 2 separate K family nights, and Brian says, hey, please post the Facebook POC at KI. So that's what we got.
Fantastic. I want to remind you, we talked about bringing people in, and I know Lisa talked about this. We do a lot, put a lot of work in bringing people in, and we don't do a lot of work in really anchoring those people to our Kiwanis Club. So a couple of the eyes, I always believe in keeping your eyes on those new members. So inform those new members, even before they join. Make sure they have a good orientation about who you are as Kiwanians, what your club is about, and how they can get involved. Number 2 is induction. Whether we're doing this virtually or in person, everybody needs to know they're special. And the best way to make sure they know they're special is have an induction ceremony. You can even in a division meeting say, hey, if anybody brings somebody into a club in the next quarter, we're going to have a special ceremony at our division council meeting. So look at ways of making our new members feel important and special. And most of all, get them involved. We lose way too many members in the first year. In fact, I talked to one lady who was in her 70s, and not that I hadn't heard this as a reason why someone left Kiwanis, but usually I hear that for young people. And she said, I joined Kiwanis, they asked me to join, I was there for 6 months, and they never asked me to do anything. And I have more things to do in my life than sit around and just go to meetings. I needed to get involved, and nobody asked her to get involved. So make sure that you're getting those new members involved. It's really important bringing them in, but make sure they make it through those first 3 steps. And I'm going to add a 4th step. New members, if you're looking at all of their friends, probably 90% of their friends are not Kiwanians. So get those new members. Sue would be a perfect person. Get those new members to bring in another new member. That really does help anchor them to the club. They aren't going to be, okay, some of our longtime members, you say everybody needs to bring a new member in, and someone who's been there for 60 years, like, yeah, whatever. But somebody who's brand new just thinks that's important and thinks that's great. That will tie them more to your Kiwanis Club also, if they have another close friend that they brought in to your Kiwanis Club. So bringing in new members, make sure they're informed about what it is to be a Kiwanian in your club, induct them and involve them. And the best way to involve them is by getting them to bring in a new member. As I said before, we need to make new friends and keep the old. One is silver, the other is gold. A circle is round, it has no end. That's how long I will be your friend. If you notice, this flyer has a lot more people than in the beginning of my presentation. And it really is important to think about each other. That's why we're in Kiwanis, is to work hard and work together. Are there any questions? I have about 2 more minutes on my time. Comments or questions?
I would just say one other thing, and that is if you have interesting program speakers that come join your events, don't forget to ask those people if they would be interested in joining your club. And if you know of program speakers that are coming in that might be of interest to people outside of Kiwanis, that's a great time to invite them as a guest.
Absolutely. Look at everybody as a potential Kiwanian. All right, Lisa, well, I'm going to ask everyone, take your right hand, put it on your left shoulder, take your left hand, put it on your right waist, and give each other a hug. Give yourselves a hug. And then I hate to say goodbye, but I got to run.